because we're just now recording this, I'd like to introduce you, and it's my pleasure to introduce Miss Tiang Lim, who is one of the best entertainers that I've come across. So I'm waiting with bated breath to see how she's going to entertain us for this session as well. So over to you, Miss Tiang.
Oh, thank you, Catherine. Catherine, as you all know, I've known her for a long time. So any introduction she gives me is always biased. And you know what? I'm so vain. I don't mind it at all. Just put it on. So it's okay. It's okay. Now, I was just saying that the title, My Life as a Actor. I mean, that is boring as bad shit. Who wants to know about my life about that? However, I want to tell you about this interesting group of people, and it's called Generation Women. I saw an ad about them, and they have speakers every month. That they have a group of speakers representing the different age groups: 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70s. Okay, so 6 speakers. If they can't get someone in their 70s, they'll go 80s or 90s, and it's always fascinating. And every month they have a different topic. So I was invited in May, and the topic was write a love letter to. So that's very open. And just to show you the different interpretation, the person who in her 20s wrote a love letter to a relationship with a friend, a girlfriend, that had this wonderful relationship when they were younger. And then as they were in their 20s, they then went apart. So she grieved for that relationship. Another person wrote a love letter to her period. So, well, that's another thing. Then another person wrote a letter to her first love, who unfortunately died in a car crash. So, and from there, how she became quite involved in doing a lot of very good environmental stuff. I mean, she's now in a new relationship. Another person wrote a love letter to herself when she was 15, and how that inspired her to become a foster parent. And she does a wonderful job in that. And this other lady wrote a love letter to her husband, who came to that night. And it was wonderful. She was in her 80s, and her husband was there. So it was really, really lovely. And I started by thinking, as a working mother, I want to write a love letter to my daughter. But as I went on, I thought, I can't write a love letter to my daughter because I am who I am because of my mother. So I decided I'll write a love letter to my deceased mother. So I'm going to read to you what I wrote to my dear mother. Okay? Many of you are mothers. So this is what I've got. My dear mother, couldn't you stop at 8 children? I'm number 8. And wasn't that enough? I'm glad, though, you did not stop at 7. Why 16? Was it because you and my father were only children? So you consider too much is not enough? You all are allowed to interject if you want to, but that's okay. Okay. As a midwife in a hospital, you'd never believe the swearing and screaming from the mothers towards their husbands. Remembering your strength and tenacity, I love you even more than I did as a child. Experience gives us insight. Being the middle child with 15 siblings, love you.
Yeah, incredible.
Make me laugh my own company, although I love yours too. We hardly ever fought. However, I would get annoyed when you accuse me of something, and if I refuse to answer, you'd say, so you're mute. And if I answered back, you accuse me of being disrespectful. That taught me that sometimes you just can't win. As a middle child, I asserted myself to be noticed. I became quirky, independent, organized, and industrious. I know I was noticed and loved because when we had one chicken for dinner, you always gave me one of only 2 drumsticks. Experience gives us insight. During my childhood, I thought the nursery rhyme, 10 little monkeys lying in bed and one said roll over and one fell out, was written all about us. Now, as an adult, I can luxuriate in a queen-size bed all to myself. I also believe Joseph and his Technicolor coat was written for me because dressing in hand-me-downs from my brothers and sisters made me an eclectic dresser. To live by Buddhist principles, unmet expectations cause unhappiness, and acceptance teach compassion and empathy. How you cope with 16 children, I do not know. I know as a child, there were many occasions I could have been in jail for committing fratricide and sororicide. If I had a choice, you would have had only me. You, by example, gave me strength, acceptance of situations that to others may have seemed difficult, and patience, although I find patience sometimes difficult. As a child, I wanted to be told I was loved and was special, but did not understand that in Chinese superstition, to openly praise a child is tempting fate, and many envious spirits would take the child away. In Australia, I don't think the spirits understand English, so I praise and tell my granddaughter how proud I am of her and that I love her. For that reason, I don't think I ever told you I loved you, but I wish I had before you died. I know you loved me and was proud of me because even though you never once said, you kept a folded stationery which bore my name and qualifications and showed it to my relatives and friends with pride. My uncle told me so. To me, you are the most capable person. 16 children and you never lost one or tried to kill us. Your actions, your sacrifices, your dedication to us were expressions of love. But experience gives us insight. I never did appreciate your situation until I became a mother. When I was 28 years old and you visited me in Sydney, and during our conversation, I accused you of playing favorites, and you said to me, I never learned how to be a mother. My mother passed away when I was young, and I did what I did because I didn't know any different. For the very first time, I saw a vulnerable woman who happened to be my mother. At that moment, I saw an incredible woman as my role model. You, in your profession as a mother, gave it your utmost and taught me that I too must do my utmost in my profession. You were not only the family backbone for 16 children, you were a supportive and loving wife. When my father at age 52 got into financial difficulties, you rolled up your sleeves and helped him make a success of a new venture. Even in the dire filth, something beautiful can arise, you say. Take the lotus which grows in mud. The flower is beautiful and every part of the lotus can be used. To make to be used. You and my father worked together. He got scrap material from a factory and you used it to make items to sell at the markets. Your hard work meant we were fed and educated. Your can-do attitude is inspirational and taught me that thinking about something makes it hard, but just doing it make it possible. You taught me not only to face adversity, but how important unity is for a family. Frankly, I could do with fewer siblings. Rather than sell off some of your children, some families do in dire situation. You said, it is easy to rip a single sheet, but hard to rip when there's a pile. We must stick together. You were such a great preacher. You taught us not to tattletale. And when we were tempted to, you would ask, will that information make me laugh? Will it make me rich? Will someone's lives be in danger if I didn't hear it? If not, don't say anything. You taught me how to disregard gossip. Chinese whispers among 16 kids simply did not occur in our household. I have 2 deaf-mute brothers. You taught us to be inclusive of others. You would say, it is sad that they are missing out on our conversations. We learned to sign, but there were times I wanted to kill my brother, especially when we were having an argument and he would just pull his t-shirt over his face so he couldn't see what we were signing. You laughed. This taught me empathy, gratitude, and humor. However, the most important thing I got for you was that being a female did not mean I was second class. In a Chinese family where sons were preferred, despite not having wealth, you sacrifice yourself by paying for someone to supervise and go over our homework because you couldn't read English. You made sure all your daughters were educated too. Education is your future, you said. Be independent. Without this sacrifice, I would not be where I am today. Ma, in your memory, I named your granddaughter Precious Lotus and designed a journal called Before I Forget, with a lotus plant for the cover, so I can write things about you and me, so your granddaughter and great-granddaughters will know what an amazing person you are. When I am reborn, I want you to be my mother, with the proviso that you know about contraception. You are the best mother and role model a woman could have. I'm very fortunate to be your daughter, even if I'm one of 16. The God and deities have already taken you, so I can shout loudly. You are wonderful, smart, faithful, amazing, inspirational, fantastic, and I love you. You are your perfectly imperfect, appreciative daughter. Experience give us insight. Tiang Lim meaning precious girl. There, that was my love letter to my mother.
Amazing. Yes.
Tiang, you are, what can I say about Tiang? You're amazing.
Where did you grow up?
I was 19 when I left Malaysia and I came to Australia. So I lived here longer than I lived in Australia. And yes, when I was asked to write, and I thought a love letter, I didn't want it to be maudlin and sad, but I wanted to say those things about my mother, and they are true. And yeah, so I had a good fun writing that. I had a good laugh. I had a good cry, but I thought overall, I think the people enjoyed it too. I think they I had quite a number of women after the talk, some quite emotional, and others thought it was hilarious. And they all felt very sorry that I was a middle child. They couldn't understand, how could I talk about being a middle child when I'm one of 16?
16.
Oh dear. Okay, open to questions. If not, I've got a second one which I have to prepare for the 28th, and it's called I Am My Own Damn Hero. Maybe you guys will be great for me to test it before I actually read it in public, you know.
Go for it.
I think
Can I just
so.
ask some questions?
Yeah, sure, ask it.
Yeah. I mean, there is such an outstanding number of birthing children. It wasn't merely to do with some religious background that your parents didn't consider any form of contraception or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. To put in perspective, I'm now 70 years old. So my parents, you know, had children in the 40s and something. I don't think contraception was well understood or known in Asian countries, for a start. Secondly, they are both practicing Buddhists. And their whole attitude is, if you're meant to have it, you're meant to have it. If you're not meant to have it, it doesn't matter how hard you try, you're not going to get it. And to them is, whatever you have, it is there for you to either to learn from it, or it is your karma to atone for things you have done in the past. So it was just a total acceptance. So
But
yeah,
they had no understanding of the times you could avoid getting pregnant.
look,
Did they have no education on that either.
look, to be honest, Mayor, I don't know whether they did or they didn't. And look, the house that we lived in, here the walls, they're gyprock. At least they're double layers and you insulate it. In Malaysia, those masonite, they're as thin as a sheet of masonite. So you could hear. So I can honestly say that my dad is a very silent lover. So was my mom. There was no moaning or groaning. But every so often, there was a baby. And each time she had a baby, she had her own midwife that's been coming to the place, and she never screamed or moaned. And the midwife would come. We are in the house. We weren't sent away. And she was just in the next room. We gave her all the hot water and everything. And then the next thing, we heard the baby cry. And it's like, oh, now we got another one. So it was just, the walls are that thin, masonite.
Right, yes.
It was not even half an inch thick. So whether they planned, they didn't, I really couldn't tell you.
Did you remember all their names?
Yeah, I do remember, and I don't remember their birthdays, but the way I worked it out was that I start with myself, then I know, oh yeah, 1 year older, so you must be that year. You're 1 year younger, you must be that year. You're 12 years younger, you must be that year. But don't ask me the month or the day kind of thing. It doesn't work. And so, yeah. So, yeah.
Do you know your date of birth?
My own, yeah. Mayor, I can tell you, even though I'm one of 16, I always celebrated my birthday. I was, even as a kid, I remember my parents for my birthday, they would get little cupcakes, and I'll take it to school, to my class, and give everyone a cupcake. And then when I was in my teens and I could bake and I do things, I will bake and then invite my friends. I have my own birthday party. When I came to Australia and I turned 21, when I did my nursing, I threw a big party at the nurses' home. I even had a band. And the nurses, they were so amazed. They said, no one has done that for themselves. I said, what? You don't throw your own birthday? You wait for someone? How stupid. It's your birthday. I threw it. I had it. I had that many people. And everyone, then the dietitian at the hospital was very kind. And she said, I'll help prepare your food. You just buy some things. And then I had very generous friends who said, we will donate a case of champagne. I never said no to anything. And then, but I paid for lots of things. And we had a ball. And then when I turned 70, I had a big party, even though it's done in Wollongong. I invited so many people. Those who came to us. And I just, catered. I did all the meat things. And then I just, employed someone to cook Indian food on the spot and dosa. So, no, it's my birthday. I will always celebrate. Even in COVID, I'll still celebrate.
Yes,
definitely must celebrate. There's a day you were born.
That's right. And I agree.
Most important day.
Exactly. We came to the planet, and we must celebrate our spirit came here.
That's right.
Did you train at, huh?
Yeah, for this mission. Yeah. So what is your date of birth? Because I'm an astrologer and I always find it interesting to study.
Okay. 12th of April, 1953. But I don't know the time. They wrote it in Chinese and no one could understand what it said. So, but I knew. So there,
Would it be morning, afternoon, or night?
I think I'm not sure. It could be in the morning time, sometime. I
Right.
don't know. Just look
Okay.
at my personality. You have an
Well,
idea.
I mean, you're a fire sign, and I knew you were
Yeah.
a fire sign because I thought for acting and for, acting, it's usually Leo, but for Aries, the Aries part of you is very much individuality and also initiating things. And no matter what situation you're in, you always want to take the lead. So perfect. You're doing what your sign is, Aries.
And
Thank
she
you.
does it very well.
Very good.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Yes, and great. And fire always brings lots of energy and action and involvement in life. You don't sit still. And your planet is Mars, and
Right.
Mars is the masculine side,
Yes.
and that's all about, once again, action and initiation of projects and whatever in life.
Yeah.
So
Can you hear me, Tiang?
I can, Ash.
So which hospital did you train at?
Bankstown, it was only a
Bankstown.
301 bed hospital then in 1972. So it was very small. Now it's huge. It's got everything.
Yes.
So when I was trained, it was tiny. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Just curious.
Okay.
but that's where you're working?
No. I trained at Bankstown Hospital and I went to King George and did my midwifery. And then I went to a private hospital to work because when they found out that I was getting married at the end of that year of my midwifery training, they weren't taking me on because, they're still quite old-fashioned those days. So I found work in a private surgical hospital. And then again, I'm a great believer that things happen for a reason. And my assistant nurse at this private hospital she's a mature age person, not all old, but when you are, say, 22, someone who is 30 is mature. So, and she was doing her HSC, and at that time the universities were accepting mature age applicants. And she said to me, I remember her, Franca, saying to her, "Sister, you should go back to TAFE and study. Have you thought of studying medicine?" Just like that. And I thought, no, I came from Malaysia. I've got no idea of the opportunities that's open. I mean, I grew up in Malaysia in the era where you're either a secretary, a teacher, a bookkeeper, or get married and be a housewife, or go into nursing. So think of anything. So here I was coming to Australia, and I was very ignorant of all the information out there. I knew nothing about TAFE. I didn't know of all the opportunities. And I said, oh, and she said, yes. So I rang up TAFE. They said, and that was first. I said, oh no, you have to go next year. I said, so what do I have to do? So they told me, and I did. And I did my matriculation. And then, I missed out by a few marks to get into medicine. But at that time, New South Wales just started a brand new course, which is a Bachelor of Science and a 4-year psychology degree. So it was science-based, but psychology. So you do 4 years, you go straight into honors. And then I did that. And so from nursing, I did that. But in between studying, I continued working in aged care, nursing home, to get some income. And then, and then from there, I moved on. I worked as a counselor for a little bit, not a long time. I worked in TAFE as an education officer. I did a lot of, and Catherine will know, we did some exciting things in TAFE. And then I went on and did other things, and I worked for lots of other government departments in staff development, in training, because to me, training and teaching is like acting. I love to be there telling people things, telling them a story. Everything is about telling a story. I've been told in now when I'm practicing, rehearsing for a play, Tiang, stop telling a story, read that character. So I forget, as I'm always telling a story. And now I'm telling you a story. So I've worked in all those different areas. And then I got further degrees. I worked for attorney generals, auditors generals, all in training. I got a scholarship. I got my MBA. I got my graduate in adult education because I was working for TAVE to be a multicultural coordinator. You need to have teaching quals. So I had to do that and juggle work. And then my MBA was in the evening. At that time, I have a child that's only about 2 years old. Oh my God, I was crazy, but I did it. And then I did other things. I co-owned restaurant and had a coffee boat and run a market. And then went back to nursing again. And then I realized that, oh my God, you know so little about dementia care. And I went back to study about dementia care and got a scholarship to study my Master of Science in Dementia Care at Wollongong. And I thought, oh my God, there's a whole new world. Dementia care is so big. And I worked in the area for about 15 years. And then, 2021, I slowed down. I thought, with COVID and all that, this is getting a bit too much. And people were being very unkind to nurses and also relatives are not all relatives, but all you need is a couple of very rude, demanding, nasty relatives. And then it's like it spoils your day. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to put up with shit. I'm going to leave and do fun things. I'm just going to be an extra on a film where I have no responsibility, where I just go and they tell you to sit, you sit. They tell you to smile, you smile. And then you get paid to do nothing. Even though the pay was lousy, I worked out that I was being paid more as an extra than as a manager because I was on call 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Worked out that with my pay, I was getting about $5 a fucking hour. And here, as an extra, 28. My God, it was like 6 times what I was earning. No stress. And I got fed. Oh, they come with morning tea and afternoon tea and lunch. It was lovely. And I thought, yeah. So, it's all about perspective. I'm not the richest person. Who gives a fuck about that? But I'm not crazy. I'm not stressed out. I'm going out meeting nice people, smiling, and then sometimes I get made up. I sit there and they put all this lovely makeup on me. Things I've never done for myself. I thought, whoa, that's the life. And that's what I do. And then I progress and people notice that, make a good model. So I get to do TV commercials. And that's why I get to do dress up. They bring in all this clothing for me to try. And I thought, I never played dress up. And here's all this clothing I'm putting on. How wonderful. And then, then they make me up, comb my hair a different way, give me a different shape eyes, different colored lips. And I just stand there, and they say smile, and I smile at them. They say, don't smile too wide, don't show your teeth. And I go, Or they say, more teeth. I will go, so yeah. So life is pretty good.
When did you start doing that?
Look, about 20 odd years ago, I started a bit. I didn't even know. I walked into a talent office because they were on the same floor that I was managing a language school. And that's where Catherine very kindly was bullied into accepting a few of my international students. And one was a beautiful Swiss young man who is gorgeous. And then she had a few other lousy ones. And it was on the same floor as my school was this talent agency. And in those days, you don't have digital. So they're coming to borrow my TV and my DVD players because their talents were sending in VHS and they had to play it.
Yes.
So I said, so one day the owner came and I said, what do you guys do? You're always coming, and there are lots of people walking to your area. They say, come into our office, have a look. And there I looked in the office, and there are all these photos of people on the wall. And I said, there isn't a face that looks like me up there. And they said, no, do you want to be up there? I said, I'll wait till I save some money, because I knew that in those days, even to be a model, you have to pay to, for a photograph. They said, don't worry, come in, we'll take your photo. I said, I'm not made up. I said, don't worry, we know what to do. So I took my photos. And within the week, I got my first job, stills photography. But within 3 months, I landed myself a fantastic ad. Depend. It was incontinence pad 23 years ago, okay? More than 23 years ago. Incontinence pads. And this was, filmed over 3 days in beautiful place. One place was a beautiful Japanese theme house in Robertson. And I can't remember the name of the director. He came all the way from England. So that production had a lot of money. I think was owned by an American company. So they came, and I was one of the 3 models in this. And we were outdoor, indoor, and having a spa and everything. Oh, I must tell you about the spa. I was lying down there, and it was so relaxing. And they are, putting things on my face. Before that, they're massaging my feet, and there's all these hot stones. And the next minute, I would go.
I remember that, Tiang. I do remember you with your things on your
and I could hear someone say, she really gets into her role, doesn't she? I fell asleep. It was fantastic. And but that ad, now remember, 23 years ago,
Right.
I received $10,000.
Oh,
Wow.
23 years ago for 3 days.
Yeah.
When I think that 23 years ago, wages were around 65, 85,
Yeah.
100, but 3 days to get 10,000.
Fantastic.
That
was
is
lovely.
epic.
Yes.
That is epic.
I'm in the wrong business. I really
but
am.
I don't get, look, but let's put things in perspective. You don't get too many of that. I might get an ad for $500 or something.
Was it for Australia and overseas? Was it a
That
large company?
That ad was for the European market. It was for the
That's probably
European.
why.
So that's why it was, and that's why the budget was so great. And I remember being an extra on films during that time when they were coming down to film like Superman 2 and Fox Studio. We had all this fantastic food. And then I remember Kangaroo Jack Down Under. Oh, we had whole salmon and oysters for the cars, and then we get to eat it as well. And they have the food truck there making muffins for you fresh. And I thought, wow, that's the life, But those were the days. But nowadays, there's no such big budget. You might get sandwiches and little. And with COVID, you get little boxes. Box food and stuff. But still was fun, a lot of fun. And then in 2021, when I was going to retire from nursing, I thought it's about time I go back to the creative, and just for fun. I don't care how little I get. I'll just see. But went in, had my photos taken, but within weeks I was getting a few, and then it's getting more. And then I met some very nice people, and they told me about different apps to put in. And then I got more and more. So then I did a lot of free student films. And from there, one of the guys that I did a freebie for him as a character, he was directing a TikTok series called Coach Dale. And he asked me to audition for it. I did, and I got the role as the mother. So it was a comedy. And I thought, oh, this is good fun. But I continue to, because I'm not professionally trained. So to get experience in front of cameras and have directors telling you what to do, to me, is like an apprenticeship instead of going to a drama school. So that was very useful. And watching other people act, I thought, oh, that's how you do things. So that was very good. So from Coach Dayam, then someone said, you should do a comedy course with me. And I did. And I went to watch someone and they recognized me from Coach Dayam. And they said, oh, you want to try your stand-up comedy? I said, yeah, why not? And of course, I made a fool of myself. And I thought, that's what comedians do. They make a fool of themselves. And, if you're good, then they might call you back. And then they called me back another month. And in the old age, and I thought, oh, this is quite good. So, and then I got other things, but I'm collecting material. My aim is to have a one-woman show later on. So with all these little snippets, just, as I said, talk shit. So that's all I like to do, is just talk shit and take it from there. So, and then...
Would your one-woman show be like an autobiography of your life or what?
I don't know. I'm open to suggestion. I've been talking with this woman. Oh, yeah, I did one. Oh, God, you all have to follow me and watch that. It's Instagram. It's called, oh, I know. Go and Google YouTube, Coconut Face Comedy, Who Invented Moussaka? And I was a Chinese student in Who Invented Moussaka? And the bloopers was improv. And of course, I just went ballistic. I just put so much rubbish and shit on the Greek and the Italians. It was so funny. And then we had a film showing and I was laughing. It was hilarious. So now they're doing more of it. They're saying, Tiang, can you, as a student, talk more of why you think that the Chinese invented moussaka? And then I had to make up things and it sounded so good. They came back and said, is that real? I said, no, I'm talking shit, but it looks good. So if you believe it, it's true. So who's telling, but I'm telling you because we talked together. So Trish Koutroumidis, who is this Greek wonderful woman who writes the script. And I said to her, Trish, I think we should do a series on the grandmothers, the Greek grandmother and the Chinese grandmother. It would be hilarious. She said, Tiang, you write it, and then I will put the things in. I said, right, I'm going to be the Chinese grandmother. She said, don't worry, we'll find you a Greek grandmother. I said, that's it. We're going to make a series about grandmothers. We're going to talk about all sorts of things, grandmothers, and we're going to be so politically correct. That's what we want. So sick and tired of this cancel society we're in. We are going to say things that will make people's hair curl because there are too many, straight-haired people. We want to make people's hair curl. And we'll make, get the place blue again. We're going to be hilarious. And then we'll put it down to dementia.